Hi guys, it's safe to say that survival horror genre is back. The recent games, I should say the remakes of Resident Evil, the Dead Space, and the Silent Hill 2, as well as the new entries like the Callisto Protocol, are proof that this genre is here to stay. But the truth is that they never been dead. Well, the small studios have always bet on the style, even if they'd reach an impact or in that comparable to the big names like Silent Hill. That said, Post Trauma is another one of those indie titles that keep the flame of this genre, which is so important to the industry. Developed by Red Soul Games and published by Raw Fury, Post Trauma is a great homage to the survival horror classics of the PlayStation 2 era. Since its announcement, its aesthetics and nostalgic approach have attached the attention. Scheduled for release April 22, 25, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC, Infinite Combo had the opportunity to play in advance thanks to the Raw Fury sending us a copy of the PC version. But after all, is there really title all that? So the thing is that you control Ramon, who wakes up inside an abandoned train car without knowing where he is on and or what is happening. The game chooses to reveal its setting before any narrative details. The mystery accompanies the player throughout the journey. However, the appearance of new character adds interesting layer to the story. Despite the intentionally and dramatic narrative, the atmosphere of post-trauma managed to engage the player in the very interesting way. The non-harmer and its symbols are interpreted with the intensivity by obviously the Ramon. The soundtrack and audio design are particularly very reinforcing, game claustrophobic and suffocating tone. Walking throughout the scenes and hearing the creature noises, moans, murmurs, makes this experience something remarkable in the genre. The atmosphere is undoubtedly the game's high point. The grimy, oppressive, and abandoned visuals, the grotesque enemies, and the constant feeling of pursuit creates an immersive experience. Part of this due to the fixed cameras, which prevent the player from controlling the viewing angle, and a clear homage to the games of the PlayStation 2 era. Well, the choice that amplifies the feeling of the tension, making the post-trauma journey truly disturbing and scary. The aesthetics also directly reference to the Silent Hill, with the use of the mannequins, dark corridors, creative puzzles that require reasoning and attention to the details. This type of challenge is welcome relief in the genre and reinforces the value of um, basically of the playing. And however, the choice to pay homage to the special era of survival horror also comes at a price. Part of this is tied to the combat mechanics and the movement. The biggest weakness is in the combat and movement mechanics. The player can use firearms and melee weapons, but firearms are especially frustrating. The lack of an aim button and not just the aim itself makes the experience old-fashioned and imprecise. In addition, the limited movement with dodging only backward create unfair situations, especially in the combat close to walls or obstacles. While hand-to-hand combat is more satisfying, it is also suffers from the stiff movement. So, in situations where you find yourself pressed against a wall, that's it. You won't get out of there. In short, the idea of bringing a nostalgic air to survival horror is the present day is compatible with its qualities. However, preserving these ideas so much had bad negative effects on the experience as a whole. Post-trauma would work very well without the use of firearms. Its melee combat is satisfactory, but again, it is impacted by unpleasant movement mechanics. The game could have keep the retro look, but it updated its mechanics and the graphics. Well, whatever. Post Trauma is a love letter to the great names of survival horror from the PlayStation 2 era. It is setting an exceptional and it's this dense and disturbing atmosphere with nice sound and and everything which is covered gives the beautiful and horror terrifying atmosphere. Also, the presence of intelligent puzzles, the inventory aesthetics, and the choice of the cameras create a genuine, immersive, intimate, and nostalgic experience. However, the same homage turns into an obstacle. As I said and mentioned before many times, that the combat with the firearms and certain limitations in the controls detract from the experience. Like basically, they are not giving me enough satisfaction. I was a little bit pissed at some moments, and that's not what you want from the game, right? And many times their mechanics felt more like a burden than a complete than horror. And if you look at the post trauma just for its confusing and some kind of scary setting, it is flawless. But if you look at this whole, you notice that there are slip ups that compromise the part of the experience. And the post trauma is an ode to classic survival horror games from the PlayStation 2 era, such as Silent Hill, Hunting Grounds, and The Rule of the Bros. Its nostalgic identity, however, exceeds attachments to certain outdated mechanics, compromises combat system, especially with the firearms, which perhaps didn't even need to be presented. But nevertheless, I really like the game, and I definitely recommend you guys to play it because sometimes it just hit in me like maybe I'm not right, but still, let me know in the comment section. Do you think this game a little bit similar to the Evil Within? Do you giving you the same vibes? Let me know, you guys, if you played. Cheers.